Hey, and welcome back to Quick Math Tips. I'm going through the November 2020 paper 2, and I'm starting on question 7. So this is part 2. The diagram shows a right angle triangle and a quarter circle. The right angle triangle ABC and angle ABC equals 90 degrees. So that is 90 degrees. The quarter circle has center C and radius CB. So this is the radius of the circle. Work out the area of the quarter circle. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. You must show all your working. So the first thing I'm going to do is, in order to work out the area for this quarter of a circle, I need to know the radius. Now the radius is a missing side inside a right angle triangle. Okay, so I'm going to quickly sketch this triangle out here. In this right angle triangle, I've got 9 meters, I've got 6 meters, and I've got x here. X is the value that I need to work out in this triangle. Okay, now in a missing triangle, in a right angle triangle, a missing side, to do that you need to do Pythagoras Theorem. The formula for Pythagoras is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. I'm going to label this triangle. The side opposite my right angle is C, and the other two are A and B. Now I'm trying to work out A, so I'm going to rearrange to make A the subject. In order to do that, I will subtract B squared on both sides. I'm left with A squared is equal to C squared minus B squared. Okay, I've got my little triangle. I'm going to substitute these values into this equation. So A squared is equal to 9 squared minus 6 squared. A squared is equal to 81 subtract 36. 81 minus 36 is going to give me 45. So A squared is equal to 45. So to work out the value of A, I'm going to root 45. Okay, and I'm just going to leave it like that. I don't want to create a decimal because then I don't want to type in a long decimal to the next part of my question. So the radius, the missing length, is going to be root 45, and I'll just label that right there. It's going to be root 45. Okay? Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. The first way is you can work out the area of a circle and then divide it by 4. Or you can work out the area of a sector. Now, the formula for area of a sector is going to be theta, which means angle, divided by 360 multiplied by pi multiplied by radius squared. Okay? Area of sector. Now, the angle that they've given to us, the angle in this sector is 90 degrees, so it's going to be 90 over 360 multiplied by pi multiplied by the radius is root 45, so multiplied by root 45 squared. Okay, now the root and the squared on the 45 can cancel out, and 90 over 30 you can simplify that if you like, or you can just plug it into the calculator like that. If I want to simplify this, I can say 1/4 times pi times 45. If I plug this into my calculator and round my answer to 3 significant figures, I should get 35.3 meters squared as my final answer. Okay, so this is all you're working for this question. And right here in the answer, I'm going to jot down 35.3 meters squared to 3 significant figures. Okay, and this question is 4 marks. Okay. Okay, Tariq buys a laptop. He gets a discount of 5% off the normal price. He pays £551 for the laptop. Work out the normal price of the laptop. Now, the normal price is 100% and he got a 5% discount, so I subtract 5% from that and I'm left with 95%. So he's basically paid for 95% of the value. So I'm going to do £551 divided by 95% because he's paid for 95% of the value, and then multiply by 100 because I'm trying to work out the original amount. Plug this equation into the calculator and I should get £580. So the original price of this laptop is £580. Okay, moving on. Joan invests 6,000 in the savings account. The savings account pays compound interest at a rate of 2.4% for the first year and 1.7% for each year after that. Work out the value of her investment at the end of 3 years. So, first of all, I start off with 100%, and for the first year I add on 2.4%. 100% plus 2.4% is going to give me 102.4%, and I'm going to convert this to a decimal, which would become 1.024. The same thing with 1.7%, so 100% is what I start off with, that's the original amount of my money, plus 1.7%, and I get 101.7%, which I convert to a decimal, which is going to be 1.017. How do I convert it to a decimal? I just divide it by 100, okay, because percentages are out of 100. So I've got my decimals for these two percentages. I'm going to start off with 6,000 because that's how much she starts off with. I'm going to multiply it by 1.024. Now this is to the power of how many years I have this in the bank. Now 2.4% is only for 1 year, so I don't need to do to the power of anything. Then multiply by 1.017. This is going to be to the power, look, you leave it in the bank for 3 years. Now one of the years was taken for 2.4%. Now the rest of the years are for 1.7%. That's 2 more years. After 1 year in the bank, she's only having 2 more years. So it's going to be to the power 2. You're going to plug this equation straight into your calculator and you're going to get £6,354.67. When it comes to money, always round to 2 decimal places because money, pence, is always in 2 decimal places. So 6,354.67 pence. Okay, that's how to do compound interest. Okay. Aisha recorded the heights in centimeters of some girls. She used her results to work out the information in this table. So here's the table of information. She drew this box plot for the information on the table. It is not fully correct. Write down 2 things Aisha should do to make the box plot fully correct. So the first thing she's done wrong is I'm going to look at the median. It's 162. If I look on a graph, she's drawn the median as 161. Okay, so the first mistake is the median should be 162, not 161. The median should be 162, not 161. Okay? Next mistake. Okay, so let's check. Lower quartile 154, that's right. Least height, that's right. Range 142 plus 40 equals to 182. That's also plotted correctly. Upper quartile, it doesn't say, so lower quartile 154 plus 17 equals to 171, but she's plotted it at 172, so that's going to be incorrect. Okay, so the upper quartile should be 171, not 172. Okay, so these are the 2 things that are wrong with her box plot. Okay, let's move on. A, simplify 1 over m squared to the power 0. Now, this is the easiest question ever because y is to the power 0. When anything is to the power 0, your answer is going to be 1. Okay? Anything to the power 0 equals 1. Whatever it may be, anything to the power 0 is 1. Simplify x 8x minus 4 over x minus 4 squared. Now, I'm not going to expand my brackets. That's not simplifying. That's me working it out. So I'm going to write out the bottom again. Now, x minus 4 squared means the bracket is repeated. X minus 4, x minus 4. If I have the same bracket at the top and the bottom, it cancels out. Okay? So these 2 cancel out. And my final answer is 8 over x minus 4. Okay? Simplify 3n4 w to the power 2 and the bracket, and there's a cube on the outside. Now this cube is going to apply to everything on the inside, so it's going to become 3 cubed. Now the indices on the inside multiply with the indices on the outside, so n4 times 3 is n12. w2 times 3 is going to be w to the power 6. This is not the most simple answer yet, because 3 to the power 3 can be simplified. 3 times 3 times 3 is 9 times 3, which is 27. Therefore, you should write this as 27n12w to the power 6. 27n12w to the power 6. Okay? Jack is in a restaurant. There are 5 starters, 8 main courses, and some desserts on the menu. Jack is going to choose a starter, a main course, and a dessert. He says there are 240 ways of choosing there are 240 ways he can choose his starter, his main course, and his dessert. Okay? Could he be correct? Now, to work out, this is called product rule of counting. To work out if this is possible, I would do starters times main course times dessert equals to total number of ways. So I'm going to say starter times main course times dessert equals to total number of ways. Okay? They all have to be whole numbers. Okay? If one of them ends up being a decimal, that will not be possible because you cannot have half a main course. You cannot have a quarter of a dessert. As much as you'd like, you can't have that. Okay, so let's substitute the values in. 5 times 8 times, and we don't know about the desserts, so times desserts equals 240. Okay, now if my dessert is a decimal, it will not work. However, if it's a whole number, he will be correct. So 5 times 8 is 40. 40 multiplied by desserts is equal to 240. To work out the number of desserts, I will divide it by 240, divided by 40 on both sides. So 240 divided by 40 is going to give me 6. So the total desserts would be 6. That's a whole number. So if there were 6 desserts, he could be correct. Jack could be correct. Okay? It is possible. And you must show your answer, so this is your working. Okay? Let's move on. Question 12. The graph gives information about the volume of petrol in the tank of Jim's car after it has travelled a distance of d kilometers. Find the gradient of the graph. Interpret what the graph represents. So first of all, gradient. This length here, I don't know if you can see, but this goes up to 27. Okay, so this length here is 27 and this length here is 300. Okay, so I'm going to do 27 divided by 300, which is going to give me 0.09. However, don't be so quick. This here, is this a positive or negative correlation? Okay, if one value increases and the other increases, it is positive. So therefore your gradient would be positive. If one value is increasing and the other value is decreasing, then it's a negative correlation. See, the further he goes, the less petrol he has. So it's going to be negative correlation, okay? So it's going to be negative 0.09. Interpret what the graph represents. So there's anything you can really say about petrol and how far. So we're talking about the more you drive, the less petrol you have in the car. So anything around the word petrol consumption. Okay, so the more petrol you use, the further you've driven. The further you drive, the less petrol you have left, okay? So anything around the lines around petrol consumption. Okay? Okay, well done, guys. Right, here is triangle ABC. Work out the length of AB. Give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. Now, I'm trying to work out this missing side. I'm going to call it X. I've got angle side, I've got angles, and I've got another side. I'm going to use the sine rule, okay? Now, what do I know about the sine rule? When I have a missing side, the formula I'm going to use is going to be A over sine A is equal to B over sine B. Now, it doesn't matter which is A and B as long as the capital letters are angles and the same letters are opposite each other. So this side is going to be opposite that angle, and that side is going to be opposite that angle. I don't know that angle, but I can work it out. Angles inside a triangle add up to 180. So I'm going to quickly do 180, take away 34, take away, which one is this? Take away 26. That's going to give me 120 degrees. Therefore, this one here is going to be 120 degrees. Okay? Not much calculations. My simple fact of angles in a triangle adds up to 180. Now, it doesn't matter what I call A, what I call B. Let's say I want to call this one A. That means that's lowercase a, that means that's b, and that's lowercase b. Let's substitute these values into this equation. So 23.8 divided by sine 120 is equal to b is x, because that's what I'm working out, over sine 34. So in order to work out x, right now it's being divided by sine 34, so I'm going to multiply by sine 34 on both sides. Oh, multiply by sine 34. And in my calculator, x is equal to 23.8 divided by sine 120 multiplied by sine 34. I'm going to plug that into my calculator, and I'm going to get 15.4 to 1 decimal place. Okay? Your answer, 1 decimal place, guys. Be very careful about that. Okay? This question is worth 3 marks. And that is the end of part 2. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe for more, and I will be posting part 3 shortly. Thank you.